Hello everyone, it has been a hell of a week for me, very, very busy, but I'm here now and I'm ready to talk some fun stuff with you, specifically stuff that is football related and wrestling related. The main topic of the video is going to be centered around the ending to this week's AEW Dynamite. I definitely want to talk about that, but before I get into all of that, I do want to talk a little bit about the Super Bowl. What I thought of the game and everything else. Thought the game was very good. Congratulations to the Kansas City Chiefs. I was really happy to see Andy Reid finally win a Super Bowl because he's a guy that, even though he was coaching the Philadelphia Eagles, I always respected him as a coach, even if I couldn't say it out loud. But I always liked him, and I always felt like he was good enough to be a Super Bowl caliber coach, and it just, for whatever reason, just didn't happen. While he was with Philly. And last year, I really felt like the Chiefs should have made it to the Super Bowl, and that didn't happen. That's a whole other topic. But this year, it was like, okay, it'd be nice to see Andy win one, and he did. And it was a very enjoyable game. The type of game I like, a lot of power running, a lot of great defense, fighting hard for those points. And it was really enjoyable. You got a big comeback at the end from the Chiefs. It was funny. It was 8.5 left in the fourth quarter, and my sister was like, I was watching it with my family, and my sister was getting ready to quit on the game, and I was like, 8.5, down 10. That's, Kathy, there's plenty of time here. Lots of stuff can happen in 8.5 minutes, and sure enough, the Chiefs pretty much stormed back and won the game. So, yeah, I was very entertained by the game. I thought it was a very good Super Bowl, and obviously my congratulations to the Kansas City Chiefs for pulling it off. Now, one thing, I'm a little surprised that, because when the game was over, I was fully expecting this to come up in conversation, and it really hasn't. And maybe that's for the best, I don't know. But there were two plays that I expected a bunch of San Francisco 49ers fans to be belly aching about. And not saying that illegitimate belly aching, just I expected a lot of complaints of controversy and all this other stuff. At the end of the half, the 49ers had a huge pass play called back on offensive pass interference that basically cost them 3 points, at least, depending on what they were going to do on the next play. But that basically cost them points. And then at the very end of the game, when the 49ers scored their go-ahead touchdown and he reached over across the pylon to break the plane and get to the end zone, it was very close whether or not his foot was in bounds when he crossed the plane. It was super, super close. It actually looked to me like on several camera angles, like in some it looked like he was in and others it didn't. It was a very, very close call. But anyway, I'm a little surprised that didn't come up in conversation too much this week. I guess I expected a lot more of an uproar from the San Francisco 49er base, but maybe they don't have much of a fan base. I don't know, to complain about such things. But my personal take on it, I thought the offensive pass interference call from the letter of the law was a good call. Not a popular one, because I don't like to see pass interference get called anyway, because it's always such a huge, costly penalty. But that one, it's like, yeah, that kind of looked like, by the letter of the law, it looked like offensive pass interference to me. And then the touchdown at the end, if I were going to make the call on the field, which thank God I didn't have to be the one to make the call on that field, because, that one's too close to call, I think. I think the referees made the right decision to let the touchdown stand, because I don't think there was enough evidence to overturn it. It was very, very close, though, and if I was there on the field, I probably would have called the touchdown back. But if that were me, but I'm also kind of a dickhead. So, but again, you weigh, it's like enough evidence to overturn. I don't know. Again, thank God I'm not that's one of those cases where the referees have a very tough job, because it's almost like you can't make a right call here. And that, they do have that cushion of not enough evidence to overturn, which I would agree with that overall. But I would have liked to have seen the touchdown get called back just to see what Andy Reid would have done on fourth down, because it would have been fourth and an inch or two to the goal line. I'm like, man, do you go for the go-ahead touchdown or do you kick the field goal in the Super Bowl? I don't know. That would have been very, very interesting to see what the call would have been on fourth down. But in any case, I really enjoyed the game. I thought it was great. I thought the stuff around the game was pretty good. I love the intros from The Rock. I thought that was very cool to see, and nice to see Rock as a hype man for both teams. I'm like, that was pretty cool. I like seeing that. The halftime show, I enjoyed. I think most red-blooded heterosexual males enjoyed the halftime show. Shakira and J-Lo really, they were straight up pole dancing right there. It was, again, I'm watching this with my family, and my sister is just sitting there giggling the entire time. She's like, oh, Patrick, they just gave you the greatest show on earth, didn't they? I'm like, yeah, they kind of did. I don't know what they were singing. I stopped paying attention to what was coming out of their mouths, except for Shakira's tongue, but it was, I enjoyed it, and, you know, the spectacle surrounding it was all fun, and it was basically like, a show for the red-blooded heterosexual males in the crowd. And I expected two groups of people to be super upset with the halftime show. The religious right, overbearing mothers that don't like overt sexuality, and the PC, lefty, crazy people that don't like objectifying women or male gaze or anything like that. But whatever you call them, they're all pearl clutchers to me, and I don't like pearl clutchers. So it's like, dude, stop telling me how to have fun. Stop it. Just stop it. I thought Shakira and J-Lo put on a hell of a show. That's my take on the matter. And now, if I had children, would I have let them watch that? Probably not, but I would have sent them out of the room and then enjoyed the show. That's how I would have done. That's where parents need to step in and be parents and not, have those people, the ones I just mentioned, try to parent the entire world. It's like, no, you worry about your family and your kids and whatever. And if you don't have kids, even better. Just stay the hell out of my business. But if you don't like it, leave the room, don't watch. But don't tell me how to have fun. But that was my take on it. I enjoyed the halftime show for the reasons that the NFL fully intended. Like, all right, you put J-Lo and Shakira in your halftime show, you know damn well what you're doing. It was fun. And the memes that came out after it were great too. It was great. It was a good time. Then how old are they? Like, J-Lo's 50 and Shakira is 43. I'm like, that's some damn good. They are keeping themselves in damn fine grade A condition. I will say that. So, yeah, I enjoyed the halftime show. That's basically my point on the whole thing. Some of the commercials were fun. I liked the Groundhog Day commercial. Groundhog Day is one of my favorite movies, so I like that commercial. The Rick and Morty commercial was really funny, and I wasn't too impressed with the last season of Rick and Morty, but that commercial was pretty good. So, got some good commercials out of it. I think the kid Take It to the House commercial was probably the best one of the night. That was the one I enjoyed the most. I was like, oh, that was really neat and cool. I like that. The NFL 100 team that they did on the pre-games was very classy, very well done. I did have to snicker at O.J. Simpson. They sneaked him in there as part of the top 100 team. Obviously, he wasn't there in person for a multitude of reasons. But I thought it was very interesting that they put O.J. in there. Now, talent-wise, yes, OJ deserves to be in the top 100 team. But there were things that happened outside of his football career that would have made me believe they wouldn't have dared to have the balls to put him in there. He's kind of like, in a weird way, even though I would argue the example I'm about to say is worse, it would be like putting Chris Benoit in the WWE Hall of Fame. It's like, nobody's denying his talent or his ability. However, the stuff outside of his profession, yeah, would be very awkward. But in any case, that's enough talk about the Super Bowl. I really enjoyed it. But one other thing I do want to say, football related, I'm going to an XFL game next Saturday. It's going to be great. I think it's going to be a hoot. The XFL starts up this weekend, and I'm going to a game in D.C. My brother-in-law got tickets. I was like, hey, you want the third ticket? I'm like, sure, I'll go to an XFL game. Why not? The only thing I wish I had, like, an old XFL shirt from back in 2001, because I didn't, fuck it. I thought once the XFL died, it was gone and dead for good. I knew that thing was dead after like 2 weeks, but so I didn't bother getting any merch or anything like that. But now I was like, I wish I had a shirt just so I could wear like the old XFL shirt to one of their games and just be like, yeah, fan from day one, yo, and just be an asshole about it. But unfortunately, I don't. It's going to be what I was told is that it's going to be the DC Defenders versus the New York Guardians. It's like, all right, so you got DC team versus New York team. That should be Interesting. I would laugh my ass off if the DC team actually won in the XFL. It's like, well, at least one football team in DC can win a championship. And it's like, by the way, the Redskins, and I live near DC, the Redskins look so bad right now when you consider how well the Caps have done, when you consider the Nats just won the World Series and the DC, won WNBA. The DC team brought the championships home. The Redskins look really, really bad right now. So when you hear like attendance is down and like fans stop going to the games, it's mostly the other team's fans that are going to the Redskins games now. It's like, yeah, because they've got other teams now. They've got the Caps, they've got the Nats, who have won championships, so they deserve like that level of attention. The Redskins don't, but yeah. So I'm going to an XFL game next Saturday. It should be very interesting. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a fun time. But anyway, moving away from the football discussion, let's bring it back to wrestling. I've got to do my top 10 matches for the month of January 2020. So let's jump right into that. Okay, starting with number 10 on the list, probably the most emotional match of the month, at least for me personally. Jushin Thunder Liger and Naoki Sano versus Hiromu Takahashi and Ryu Lee, the opening match to Wrestle Kingdom Night 2. This was Jushin Thunder Liger's retirement match, so I was really invested in this, and I really wanted to see Liger go out on a high note. I knew he was going to lose because that's tradition, but it was nice to see him get one last good performance in. It was a good match. Under normal circumstances, it would probably be considered a regular match, but I think the extra emotional investment in it being Liger's match made it a lot more of a special attraction. And I got to be honest, the post-match brought a tear to my eye when Ryu Lee bowed to Liger and Hiromu paid his respects to Liger. It was a very nice moment and a fitting end to a great and storied career that was got an even more proper end the next night at New Year's Dash for his retirement ceremony. Number 9, Imperium versus the Undisputed Era from NXT's When Worlds Collide 2020. Really fun main event 8-man tag match. That's really all there is to say. And as far as I've seen, and granted I haven't watched too much of him, it was probably the best use of Walter thus far in WWE. Again, based on the stuff that I've seen, I thought he was booked very effectively in this match. It was a lot of fun. I just enjoyed it. Number 8, also from Wrestle Kingdom, Night 2, Chris Jericho versus Hiroshi Tanahashi. Chris Jericho's physique notwithstanding, I thought the match was a lot of fun and really good, and a really good match between a big star like Jericho and a big New Japan icon like Tanahashi. So really enjoyable match, really liked it. One of the really good matches to come out of the Tokyo Dome that weekend. Another match from the Tokyo Dome was from Night 1 for the United States title, Lance Archer versus Jon Moxley in a Texas death match for the United States title. Moxley would win this match, and I think I said in my review that the match wasn't as violent as I was expecting it to be. But as far as a wild, hardcore, hard-hitting brawl goes, I thought it was very well done. I thought it was a very good match. And I thought this was kind of the culmination of Lance Archer's great year in 2019, where he had a bit of a revival to his career. It's like, oh wow, this guy's really friggin' good. And I thought this match was really, really good for him, even though he came up on the losing end. Thought the match was very good. And if you like hard-hitting, hardcore brawls, I think this match would be right up your alley. Number 6, Alison Kay defending the NWA Women's title against Thunder Rosa from NWA Hard Times. This was easily the best match on this pay-per-view for the NWA. Huge show stealer, kind of caught a lot of people off guard, I thought. And I think a lot of people that saw the show was like, wow, this was really, really good. And just a really strong match all around. And we got the title change to be kind of the cherry on top to kind of spice things up a bit. And now we'll have to wait and see where Thunder Rosa's loyalties lie with Melina, or what Melina's going to do to try and weasel her way into the championship to get it off of her protege, if you will. So a lot of stuff they can do there, but I thought this match was very, very good. And next up, number 5, also from Wrestle Kingdom, Night 2, Zack Sabre Jr. defending the British Heavyweight title against SANADA. I love Zack Sabre Jr. I love that guy. I've said it all the time. Like, he is just a pure mechanic in the ring. Like, everything he does in the ring is just so good and so perfect and makes so much sense that I've yet to see him have a match against somebody in the last however long I've been watching him. I've yet to see him have a match where I was like, nah, that didn't really work for me. The dude's just an artist in there. He's absolutely fantastic, and I really enjoyed the match as a result. I predicted this would be kind of the sleeper hit of the weekend, where it doesn't have a whole lot of fanfare, and it's not one of the big main events, but I think if given the time to shine, it could be one of the hits of the undercard, and it was. And one of the better matches of the weekend, as it turns out. One of the better matches of the month. Number 4, I'm giving it to Sami Calihan defending the Impact World title against Tessa Blanchard, where Tessa would win the Impact World Championship. I thought the main event and everything surrounding it came off very, very well. Unfortunately, the controversy surrounding Tessa kind of put a damper on things a little bit, but as for the match itself and the title change, I thought everything came off really, really well, and overall, good job by Impact. And hey, they built up a star, they got her over, and they gave her the big win. And, you can't ask for better booking than that most of the time. Because, TNA was always that company that was like, resist putting the belt on somebody. And I understand making people wait for something that they really want, but it would get to a point where it's like, okay, god damn it, what are you doing? Like, specifically with AJ and Samoa Joe, it really felt like, do you just not want to put the belt on them? Like, what are you doing? But this is a case they got her over, and I've been saying for years that her and Sami are the best things in the company, and they gave them a main event spot, and they shined. So, can't ask for more than that. Number 3, from Wrestle Kingdom Night 1, Will Ospreay versus Hiromu Takahashi for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight title. This was a culmination of a great year for Will Ospreay and Hiromu Takahashi's great return from injury after being gone for over a year. So this match had a lot of hype going into it, and it delivered. This was an excellent, excellent match with a lot of drama, a lot of action, and everything you would ever want out of a junior heavyweight title match. I think Ospreay continues to get better and better, and I'm glad to see Hiromu back, and it seems like he hasn't lost a beat. Like, he's just as good as he was before he got hurt. So, excellent match, and I thought the title change here was also one of those, like, perfect payoff moments where the guy who had been gone for so long came back and won his belt back. So, all of this came off exceptionally well. It was one of the better matches of the weekend, but the best matches of the weekend will go to number 1 and 2 on my list, and it's the 2 main events from nights 1 and 2. Kazuchika Okada versus Kota Ibushi for the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship, and Kazuchika Okada versus Tetsuya Naito, title for title, the double belt dash, double gold dash, or whatever they were calling it. The battle for both the World Heavyweight title and the Intercontinental Championship of the IWGP. Now, which match was better? I don't really know. It's one of those, like, flip a coin, take your picks. Like, 1 and 2 this month are going to be interchangeable. I guess if you had to twist my arm, I would probably say I like the Ibushi-Okada match more, but both matches were very, very good, and huge main events for the weekend, and perfect payoffs to the story that... perfect payoffs to New Japan executing this 2-night Tokyo Dome event, which I thought came off really, really well. And, when it comes to brand of the month, it's got to go to New Japan, doesn't it? I mean, they opened up the year with an excellent weekend of shows. Strong night 1, strong night 2, and then followed it up with New Year's Dash, which was a lot of fun, and you had the Liger retirement ceremony, which was very emotional. So a lot of good stuff came out of New Japan this weekend, and everything built along to New Beginning, which I have not watched yet. I'm going to get caught up on it this weekend, but we'll see if New Japan wins the month of February as well. But I thought New Japan shined, if for no other reason, just because the first weekend of the decade, they opened up with an amazing 2-night event and then followed that up with New Year's Dash, which I really enjoyed. So a lot of stuff to enjoy from New Japan. So really good stuff this month. So yeah, excuse me. Those are my top 10 matches for the month of January. Now, the main thing I wanted to talk about in this video, after I've been babbling for 20 minutes, was the ending to AEW Dynamite this week, which seemed to get a bit of a polarizing reaction. Some people loved it. I talked to people that absolutely fucking hated the angle and hated everything about it and thought it was terrible. And I'm just going to give my 2 cents on it. I I liked it a lot. I think it might be the best thing that AEW has put on TV since they've started airing Dynamite. Like, it was that effective of an angle. And when I look at angles like that, it's like, or just stories in general, like the movies and TVs and books that I read, you know, all the media that I consume, I look for, if you're going to have a villain, make that villain as dastardly and as evil as possible. Have him do every possible thing you possibly can. And I remember, here's a weird thing. I remember the writer David Wise on a Transformers DVD that I have. He talked about writing episodes of Transformers. He was one of the writers for the original show. And one of the episodes he wrote was the episode War Dawn, where the aerial bots go back in time, and I'm not going to explain who the aerial bots are, fuck it, but just bear with me. The aerial bots go back in time to the early days of the war between the Autobots and the Decepticons, and they basically witness the origin of Optimus Prime. What is the origin of Optimus Prime? He was a naive kid, basically, that Megatron tricked and then blew the fuck up and left him for dead, and then he got rebuilt into Optimus Prime. And so David Weiss mentioned something like, there's a concept in writing called kick the puppy, where the harder you kick the puppy, the more you'll want the hero to kick his ass in the end. And that was his concept here. We're going to have Megatron be absolutely dastardly, ruthless, evil, manipulative, and just completely bloodthirsty and ruthless, so that when Prime comes in and beats him later in the episode, it'll be satisfying. When you see, you know, the young robot become Optimus Prime, it'll be even better. So that was the thought process. And so I don't know why people would be bothered by the closing segment to AEW. I haven't heard anything like, other than they felt it was too long. They felt not closing with a match was stupid and that type of stuff, which I've always been against that mindset. If you can end on a strong angle, it's better to end on a strong angle than a strong match, because a strong angle will make you excited for a strong match down the road. And I'm the type that when TNA was being criticized for not having enough in-ring action for their show, I always felt like that was not a good way to critique a wrestling show, especially one like a Raw or a SmackDown or an Impact or a Dynamite or an NXT or something like that. Because to me, it's not the amount of in-ring action that you get. It's, to me, the strength of a wrestling show should be measured by, are they making me excited for stories and matches down the road? If the answer is yes, then they did their job. Now, I would argue that in TNA's case, there were a lot of times where they were doing stupid shit that didn't make any sense, that it didn't benefit anybody. So that would have been the more worthwhile criticism to make. Not so much as like, oh, they only had 10 minutes of in-ring action. I'm like, I would be okay with that if the stuff they were doing instead of in-ring action was any good. But in any case, so basically what was the segment was, to get the match with MJF at Revolution, Cody Rhodes had to agree to 3 stipulations. 1, he couldn't put his hands on MJF prior to the pay-per-view match. 2, he has to wrestle Wardlow in a steel cage match, which is coming up in a couple of weeks. And 3, he has to let MJF whip him 10 times on live TV. And this segment was the whipping that Cody Rhodes would receive. And I wasn't sure what to expect out of this segment. I thought it was very interesting that they gave it the main event spot, which I thought ended up being a really good move, because you ended the show on the strongest note. And that's another thing, when you're doing a show like a Raw or a SmackDown or Dynamite or something like that, sometimes ending with a match feels like an anticlimax after doing a really, really hot angle. And I'm trying to think of a good example of that, where I'll give a perfect example. It's one of my favorite moments in Raw history, but it kind of killed the rest of the show, where you opened with Jericho beating Triple H for the World Heavyweight title, and you get that huge, huge moment. If you have not seen it, go back and see it. It was like nuclear red hot. It was summer of 2000. It would have been. But then you come back from commercial, they strip Jericho of the title, and then Raw kind of proceeds as normal. And I think Triple H even beat Jericho in a tag match later in the show or something. So the rest of the show, completely forgettable. It peaked in the first segment. Another example I just thought of, there was that episode of Impact where the Main Event Mafia completely took over the show. And I thought it was one of the best episodes of Impact ever. I thought it was hilarious. It was entertaining. Got to see Steiner being awesome. You got the commentary of Kevin Nash and Booker T. That was hilarious. I thought it was a really entertaining show. And played in, it was a break from the norm. It allowed angle advancement of the main event Mafia angle that they were, storyline that they were doing, without doing a lot of the same old shit that they always do. It felt like a very different show, and here I am, we're over a decade removed from it, and I still remember that episode. So that tells you something, but then you get to a point where the baby faces overthrow the main event Mafia, and then the last half hour of the show is like a normal Impact, and it's like, who cares? It's like, it's like, I think it ended on a match. I don't even remember what the match was, but I think it was like Kurt Angle versus LAX or something like that. I could be wrong, but it was like, once the main event Mafia were ousted out, it just became like a normal Impact. I'm like, no, it's not fun anymore. So it was, sometimes it's better to just end with the thing that people are going to be talking about later on. Like Raw a couple weeks ago, I believe I didn't watch the full episode, but I believe they closed with that Edge and Randy Orton angle, which if that's the case, if they did close with that, good move. Close with the strong angle. Close with the thing that people want to see, because they knew that people were going to want to see Edge give his speech after coming out of retirement, and they closed it with a hot angle. That's great. And here they were building up this angle throughout the night and advertising it. Cody's going to get whipped by MJF, and they advertised it throughout the night, and they delivered one of, I think personally, the best thing that they've had on Dynamite since they debuted on TNT. And really the reason I liked it, going back to what I said earlier, was you had a heel in MJF who's avoiding Cody, doesn't want to get in the ring with Cody, clearly, and is just reveling at getting Cody to submit and give up on the 10 lashes, or just whip him to holy hell. And it was so brutal and so, like, unnerving in a way that by the time it was all done, like, Cody was the clear-cut babyface. And somebody brought this up to me, and I think it's a very interesting point. If this was what they were planning the whole time, which I doubt that they probably planned it this far in advance, but if they did, it's brilliant. When Cody cut that promo leading into Full Gear saying that he's all alone because Hangman's off doing his own thing, and the Bucks are off, doing their own thing, and Omega's off doing his own thing, and Dustin's tied in with the Inner Circle, and getting revenge on Jake Hager, sorry. And his wife's off forming the Nightmare Collective, and she's all acting crazy and shit, and everybody else is gone, so his only friend is MJF. And then MJF screwed him over and everything, so it's like, oh, Cody's all alone. And then as you're watching the segment, the more lashes he takes, more and more people come out to support Cody. You get Arn Anderson, who's his new coach. You get Dustin, who offered to take the remaining lashes for Cody, which I thought was like one of those like nice little sweet moments. That was great. You get the Bucks came out. I believe Omega came out, if I'm not mistaken. And finally, Brandy came out at the end. His wife's, supporting her husband. And I was like, "Aw, this is sweet." So by the end of it, Cody was even more of a babyface because he stood up to all 10 lashes, flipped MJF off, and basically said, "Give me your best shot," and sold it the whole time. Made the lashes look like they hurt, because if they don't look like they hurt, then you can't really feel any sympathy for the babyface. So you got to really feel like there's some suffering there. And yeah, it did go on a while, and it felt like the Passion of the Christ after a while. But I thought it came off effectively well. And when Cody survived the 10 lashes, and MJF even let Wardlow, the big guy, take a crack at Cody with one of the lashes too. So by the time it was done, you hate MJF even more. And then he's so pissed off that Cody took all 10 that he just low-blowed him and hightailed it the fuck out of there, where a fan attacked him, which is one of those happy, like, you can't plan that. So it's like, that just makes it even better, even though it's a fan doing something he's not supposed to be doing. It makes the TV even better. So by the time you get it all over and done with, MJF is the super, super hated heel, and you want to see Cody just murder him at the pay-per-view. And I think, if I were going to guess, I think what you're probably going to see at the pay-per-view is going to be something akin to Bret Hart and Jerry Lawler at SummerSlam 93, where the babyface just beats the ever-living shit out of the heel, but then the face gets DQ'd because he goes too far. And it'll probably be AEW's first disqualification, which they really need a couple of disqualifications. I know they don't want to do them. I know it's not popular, but every once in a while it'd be nice to have a DQ just to show that you adhere to the fucking rules. But yeah, no, I really enjoyed the segment on AEW this week. I thought it came off really, really well. And I was a little surprised by some of the polarizing reaction to it. And I guess maybe it was uncomfortable for people to watch. But again, it's like any TV show, it's like any movie. It's like I want the heels to actually do bad things. And it's like what I've talked about on this channel. It's like, some of my criticisms against WWE in the past, where they'll have heels that they expect us to hate just because of what they are and not so much what they do. Like the Cologne brothers. They sell timeshares. All right, to who? Have they hurt anybody? Not that I know of. You're just trying to tell me, oh, they're annoying, hate them. And I'm like, you're not really giving me a reason to hate them. And Mike and Maria, when they came on the scene initially, it was like, oh, they love each other. Oh, yeah, fuck those guys. Oh, fuck that couple that loves each other. Oh, God. Fucking A. And I'm supposed to just hate them for some reason. It's like, no, you actually need to do something dastardly to make me hate you. And I felt like what they did with MJF and what they did with Randy Orton against Edge, that stuff is effective. And that's the type of stuff I like to see in wrestling. Let the heels be heels and let them do bad things. Don't let them get their comeuppance right away so you can actually build the story, build to the match, and then everything's all hunky-dory. And here we are. It's like, all right, I'm checking out Revolution. I want to see Cody and MJF. That's the match I want. And no knock on anything else that they're doing on the show, but that's the match I want to see. Just because I want to see, it's like, all right, how much are they going to have Cody beat the shit out of him? We shall see. But so I just want to give my 2 cents. I love the angle on Dynamite this week. I just wanted to throw some praise to it. So that is all I have for you now. Thanks again, everybody, for watching. I'll have more videos up for you next week. I'm working on a couple of things. Nothing in the immediate future, but something for potentially down the road. But that's all I have for you now. Thanks again, everybody, for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, post comments down below. And be sure to hit the little bell icon so you get notified when I post new videos. But that is it for tonight. I bid you all adieu, and y'all enjoy your weekend.